Ladies, let's talk about something real, something raw, something that hits you in the chest like a rocket at full thrust. You felt it that moment when your heart races, your mind spins, and the world feels like it's collapsing into a single point. Him. You look at him, and it's like staring into the void of a new galaxy, one you didn't plan to discover. His smile, his voice, the way he moves through the world, it's like he's rewriting the laws of physics in your universe. And then, just when you think you're ready to launch into this orbit of love, something happens, you freeze, you go silent, you pull back. Not because you don't care, but because you care too much. Your silence isn't weakness, it's not rejection. It's the sound of a soul standing at the edge of something massive, something life altering, something that could redefine everything you are. And that's where we start today. Welcome to the journey of understanding why love can make you silent, and how that silence is the first step towards something extraordinary. I'm not here to give you a playbook. I'm not here to sell you some feel good nonsense or a quick fix. I'm here to talk about truth, the kind of truth that's as unyielding as the steel in a Starship rocket. Because love, like building a company or colonizing Mars, is a mission. It's not just butterflies and warm fuzzies. It's a force. It's gravity. It's a pull so strong it can scare you into silence, make you question who you are, and force you to confront the limits of your own courage. And I get it. I've been there not just in love, but in moments when the stakes were so high, the outcome so uncertain, that I stood on the brink and wondered, can I do this? Am I ready for what's next? Let me take you back to a moment in my life. It was 2008, and SpaceX was on the verge of collapse. We'd failed 3 launches in a row, 3 rockets, millions of dollars, and countless dreams gone in explosions and smoke. The team was exhausted, investors were pulling out, the world was watching, waiting for me to fail. And in that moment, I felt the weight of it all. It wasn't just about rockets, it was about the mission to make humanity multiplanetary, to give us a future beyond Earth. I could have walked away. I could have gone silent, retreated, and let the dream die. But I didn't, because I knew that the fear, the doubt, the silence in my head, it wasn't a sign to quit. It was a signal that I was standing at the edge of something worth fighting for. And ladies, that's what your silence is. It's not a retreat. It's not a surrender. It's the moment before the launch when every system is being tested, when you're checking the fuel, the trajectory, the heart of the mission. So why do you go silent when you love someone so deeply it scares you? Why does your heart, which feels like it's burning brighter than 1,000 suns, suddenly tell you to pull back, to build a shield, to retreat into the quiet? It's because love, real love, is a frontier. It's not a safe little orbit around a familiar planet. It's a journey into the unknown, a leap into a black hole where you don't know if you'll come out the other side whole. And for women, especially, that leap is terrifying. You're not just falling for someone, you're risking your independence, your identity, your carefully built world. You're standing at the edge of a cliff, and your heart is screaming, jump, while your mind is whispering, what if you fall? Let's be real. Society doesn't make this easy. You're told to be strong, independent, unstoppable, a force of nature, and you are. You're out there building careers, chasing dreams, rewriting the rules of what it means to be a woman in this world. But then love comes along, and it's like a rogue asteroid hitting your perfectly planned trajectory. It makes you feel things you didn't expect, need, vulnerability, a longing so deep, it shakes the foundations of who you thought you were. And that's scary. It's scary because you've worked so hard to be in control, to be the architect of your own life. And now here's this person, this man who has the power to shift your orbit, to make you question everything. So you go silent, not because you don't love him, but because you're trying to figure out how to love him without losing yourself. I've seen this in my own life, not just with rockets and companies, but with people. I've felt the pull of connection, the kind that makes you want to risk everything. And I've seen how it can make you pause, take a step back, and ask, is this real? Can I trust this? Can I trust myself? When I was building Tesla, there were moments when I doubted whether we could make it. The odds were stacked against US big automakers, skeptics, financial crises. I could have gone quiet, shut down, walked away, but I didn't, because I realized that the moments when you want to retreat, when the stakes feel too high, are the moments when you're closest to something transformative. And that's what love is for you right now. Your silence isn't a failure. It's a signal that you're on the verge of something big. Let's talk about what's happening inside you when you go silent. Your heart is racing at 200 beats per minute, like a rocket engine in overdrive. Your mind is running simulations, calculating risks. What if I get hurt? What if I lose myself? What if he's not who I think he is? You're not pulling back because you're cold or disinterested. You're pulling back because you're human. You're wired to protect yourself, to guard your mission, your life, your dreams, your independence. And love, as beautiful as it is, feels like a threat to that mission. It's like standing at the launch pad, knowing that once you ignite the engines, there's no turning back. You're scared of the explosion, the failure, the crash. But here's the thing. Every great mission has risks. Every leap into the unknown, whether it's love or landing a rocket on a tiny pad in the middle of the ocean, requires you to face that fear head on. And to the men listening, let me say this. Her silence isn't about you. It's not a rejection. It's not a game. It's her standing at the edge of her own universe, trying to figure out if she can trust you with her mission. Don't chase her. Don't beg. Don't try to fix her. Just be the kind of man who's steady, who's grounded, who's building his own mission with the same kind of fire. Because when she sees that, when she knows you're not going to waver, she'll start to trust that you're worth the risk. Ladies, I want you to think about your silence as a moment of power. It's not about hiding. It's about preparing. It's the quiet before the launch, the moment when you're checking every system, making sure you're ready for the journey. When I was a kid, I used to lie awake at night, staring at the stars, wondering what was out there. I didn't have the answers, but I had questions, big ones. And those questions drove me to build things, to take risks, to fail over and over until I got it right. Your silence is like that. It's not the end of the story, it's the beginning. It's the moment when you're asking the big questions. Who am I in this love? What do I want? How do I build a life that's bigger than my fears? Here's the truth. Love is a mission. And like any mission, it's not about being perfect. It's about being bold. It's about showing up, even when you're scared, even when the odds seem impossible. When we launched the first Falcon 1, the world laughed. They said it couldn't be done. But we kept going because the mission wasn't just about a rocket, it was about proving that we could change the future. Your silence, your fear, your hesitation, it's not a sign you're failing. It's a sign you're on the cusp of something extraordinary. You're not just falling in love, you're building a new world, one where you can be vulnerable and strong, independent and connected, scared and unstoppable. So, what do you do with that silence? You don't run from it, you don't hide from it. You lean into it, you use it to ask the big questions, to figure out what you're made of. Because the truth is, you're not just a woman who loves, you're a force. You're a rocket ready to launch, a star ready to shine, a mission ready to change the universe. And that man, the one who's got your heart racing, he's not the destination. He's a part of the journey. Your silence is telling you something. You're capable of more than you know. You're capable of loving deeply, living boldly, and building a life that's as big as your dreams. This is just the beginning. We're going to dive deeper into why love scares you, how to harness that fear, and how to turn your silence into a launchpad OTC for something extraordinary. Because you ladies are not here to play small, you're here to build empires, to love fiercely, to live without limits, and I'm here to help you get there. Let's keep going. Ladies, let's get to the core of it. You're standing at the edge of something massive love, real love, the kind that feels like it could swallow you whole and spit you out in a new galaxy. It's not just a flutter in your chest, it's a seismic shift, a force that could rewrite your entire trajectory. And yet, when it hits, you don't always run toward it. Sometimes, you freeze. You go quiet, your heart screaming, but your voice is nowhere to be found. Why? Because love, like any mission worth pursuing, comes with fear. Not the kind of fear you feel when you're watching a horror movie or standing on a cliff. This is deeper. It's the fear of losing yourself, of being hurt, of stepping into a universe where the rules aren't clear. Today, we're going to unpack that fear, stare it down, and figure out what it's telling you about your heart. Because here's the truth. Your fear isn't a stop sign. It's a signal that you're on the verge of something extraordinary, something worth building, something worth fighting for. Let's talk about fear for a second. I know a thing or two about it. When I started SpaceX, people called me crazy. They said, you're going up against NASA, Boeing, Lockheed Giants who've been doing this for decades. You've got no chance. And there were nights long, brutal nights when I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if they were right. The fear wasn't about the money or the rockets. It was about failing the mission, letting down the people who believed in me, and losing a piece of myself in the process. But I learned something. Fear isn't the enemy. It's a signal. It's your brain telling you that you're pushing past your comfort zone, that you're reaching for something bigger than you've ever done before. And ladies, that's exactly what's happening when you go silent in love. Your heart's not pulling back because you're weak. It's pulling back because it's smart, because it knows this is a high stakes mission and it's trying to protect you. So, what's going on when you feel that love, that deep, soul shaking love, and your instinct is to shut down? Let's break it down. First, there's the fear of being hurt. You've been through it before, maybe not with this guy, but with someone else. A betrayal, a broken promise, a moment when you gave your heart and got nothing but pain in return. It's like launching a rocket and watching it explode 30 seconds after liftoff. That kind of failure sticks with you and makes you cautious. So when you meet someone new, someone who lights up your world, your heart says, go for it. But your mind hits the brakes. What if he's not real? What if he leaves? What if I'm not enough? That fear isn't just emotion, it's your brain running a risk analysis, trying to keep you safe from another crash. Then there's the fear of losing control. You're a woman who's built something, maybe a career, a community, a life you're proud of. You've worked hard to be the captain of your own ship, to steer your own course. And now love comes along and it's like a rogue wave threatening to capsize everything. Suddenly, you're thinking about him when you should be focused on your next big project. You're craving his voice, his presence, his energy. It feels like you're losing your grip, like you're not fully in charge anymore. For a woman who prides herself on independence, that's terrifying. It's like being in the driver's seat of a Tesla on autopilot. You're still there, but something else is steering, and you're not sure you trust it yet. And let's not forget the fear of needing someone. You've spent years proving you don't need anyone to be whole. You're not waiting for a knight in shining armor. You're out there forging your own armor, building your own empire. But love makes you need. It makes you want. It makes you vulnerable in a way that feels dangerous, almost reckless. You start to rely on his presence, his laughter, the way he makes you feel like you're the only person in the universe. And that need it shakes you. It makes you wonder if you're still the same woman who could conquer anything on her own. So you pull back, go silent, try to prove to yourself that you're still you, that you don't need him to be whole. But here's where it gets interesting. That fear, that instinct to retreat, it's not a flaw. It's a feature. It's your heart's way of saying, this is big, this is real, this matters. When I was building Neuralink, there were moments when the sheer scale of the problem connecting the human brain to machines felt overwhelming. The fear wasn't about failing the tech, it was about failing the vision, failing humanity's chance to evolve. But I didn't let that fear stop me. I used it, I let it fuel me, push me to think harder, work smarter, and keep going. And that's what I want you to do with your fear of love. Don't run from it, don't hide from it, lean into it. Ask yourself, what's this fear telling me? What's it protecting? And what would happen if I let myself feel it fully without pulling back? Ladies, your heart is a rocket engine capable of incredible power, but it needs fuel. And that fuel is courage. Courage to feel the fear and love anyway. Courage to let someone in without losing yourself. Courage to say, I'm scared, but I'm not stopping. Because here's the thing. Every great mission in my life, SpaceX, Tesla, the Boring Company, started with fear. Not the absence of it, but the decision to move through it. When we launched the first Tesla Roadster, the critics said it would never work. Electric cars were a pipe dream, they said. But we didn't just build a car, we built a movement. We proved that you can take something scary, something uncertain, and turn it into something that changes the world. Your love, your heart, your silence, it's the same. It's the raw material for something extraordinary. To the men out there, let me give you a quick word. When she goes silent, it's not about you. It's not a test you need to pass or a puzzle you need to solve. It's her heart doing the hard work of navigating a new frontier. Your job isn't to chase her or demand answers. Your job is to be steady, to be the kind of man who's building his own mission with the same kind of fire. Show her you're not going anywhere, not because you're desperate, but because you're grounded. Because a man who's secure in his own purpose doesn't need to be gay, attracts. Ladies, let's talk about what this fear means for you. It's not a sign that you're broken. It's a sign that you're alive, that you're human, that you're capable of feeling something so big it could change everything. When I look at the stars, I don't see just points of light. I see possibilities, challenges, a universe waiting to be explored. Your fear of love is like that. It's not a barrier, it's an invitation. It's asking you to step into a new version of yourself, one who's brave enough to love deeply, to risk greatly, to build something bigger than you ever thought possible. Your silence is the moment before the launch, when the countdown is ticking, when the whole world is holding its breath. What happens next depends on you. So, what do you do with this fear? You don't ignore it, you don't suppress it, you study it, you learn from it, You let it guide you to the truth about what you want, who you are, and what you're capable of. When I was a kid, I used to take apart radios and computers, not because I wanted to break them, but because I wanted to understand how they worked. Your fear is like that. Take it apart. Look at it. Ask yourself, why am I scared? What am I protecting? And what would happen if I let myself love without holding back? Because the truth is, you're not just capable of love, you're capable of a love so big it could rival the stars. We're not done yet. We're going to keep going, diving deeper into how you can turn this fear into fuel, how you can use your silence as a launch pad for a life that's bold, fearless, and unapologetically yours. Because you, ladies, are not here to play small. You're here to love fiercely, live boldly, and build a universe that's all your own. Let's keep pushing forward. Ladies, let's shift gears. We've talked about the fear that comes with love, the way it can grip your heart and make you go silent, like a rocket pausing on the launch pad before ignition. But now, let's talk about what that silence really is. It's not a void, it's not a retreat, it's a chrysalis, a cocoon where something extraordinary is taking shape. Your silence is a moment of power, a chance to redefine who you are, what you want, and how you're going to show up in this world. It's not about hiding from love, it's about preparing to launch into a version of yourself that's bigger, bolder, and ready to take on the universe. This isn't just about a relationship, this is about you becoming the architect of your own destiny, using the quiet to build something unstoppable. Let's dive into the power of your silence and how it's the key to unlocking your greatest potential. Think about this. Every great mission I've ever undertaken, whether it's getting humans to Mars or revolutionizing transportation, has had moments of pause. Not because I was giving up, but because I needed to recalibrate. When Tesla was on the brink, bleeding cash, and facing skeptics who said electric cars were a fantasy, I didn't charge forward blindly. I stopped. I thought. I asked the hard questions. What's the core of this mission? What do we need to fix? What's the next step to make this real? That pause wasn't weakness, it was strategy. It was the moment when I stripped everything down to its essence and rebuilt it stronger. Your silence in love is the same. It's not a sign you're lost. It's a sign you're recalibrating, reassessing, and preparing to launch into a new orbitone where you're not just a woman in love, but a woman who's fully in command of her own power. So, what's happening in that silence? You're standing at a crossroads. Love has shaken you, stirred something deep inside, and now you're asking, who am I in this? Am I still the woman who built her career, her dreams, her life, brick by brick? Or does this love mean I'm becoming someone else? That question, it's not a small one, it's galactic. It's the kind of question that can change the trajectory of your life. When you go silent, you're not running away. You're diving inward, exploring the raw materials of your soul. You're asking, what do I value? What do I want? And how do I love without losing the fire that makes me, me? This is the moment when you get to redefine yourself, not as someone who's defined by love, but as someone who chooses how love fits into her mission. Let's be clear, this isn't about shrinking, it's about expanding. When I started the Boring Company, people laughed. Digging tunnels under cities? Really? But I saw something they didn't, a way to rethink how we move, how we live, how we connect. That vision came from a moment of quiet, a moment when I stepped back from the noise and asked, what's possible? Your silence is like that. It's your chance to step back from the chaos of love, the racing heart, the swirling thoughts, and ask, what's possible for me? Not just in this relationship, but in my life. Am I going to let this love define me, or am I going to define it? Am I going to let fear hold me back, or am I going to use it to build something bigger? Here's what I've learned from building things that seem impossible. The moments of pause are where the real work happens. When SpaceX was struggling, I didn't just keep throwing rockets into the sky, hoping one would stick. I went back to the drawing board. I looked at the data, the failures, the systems. I rebuilt the plan from the ground up. Your silence is your drawing board. It's where you get to take stock of who you are, what you're made of, and what you're capable of. Maybe you're realizing you've been carrying old wounds past relationships, betrayals, moments when you gave too much and got too little in return. Maybe you're seeing that you've been holding yourself back, not just in love, but in other parts of your life. That silence is your chance to confront those truths, to let go of what's holding you down, and to build a version of yourself that's ready for the next launch. Ladies, this is where you get to be the engineer of your own soul. You're not just a passenger in this love story, you're the one designing the ship. When you go silent, you're not hiding, you're working. You're asking, how do I love this person without losing my mission? How do I stay true to the woman who's fought for her place in the world? How do I build a life that's big enough for both my dreams and this love? These aren't small questions. They're the kind of questions that change worlds. And the fact that you're asking them, even in silence, means you're already on the path to something extraordinary. To the men listening, here's what you need to know. Her silence isn't a rejection. It's not a game to play or a puzzle to solve. It's her doing the hard work of redefining herself, of making sure she's bringing her best self to this love. Your job isn't to interrupt that process or demand answers. Your job is to keep building your own mission, to show up as a man who's steady, who's focused, who's not rattled by the quiet. Because when you do that, you're showing her that you respect her process, that you trust her strength, that you're someone she can rely on when she's ready to launch. Ladies, I want you to see your silence as a superpower. It's not a flaw to be fixed or a weakness to overcome. It's a moment of creation, a chance to rebuild yourself, stronger, wiser, more aligned with your purpose. When I was a kid, I used to dream about the stars not just looking at them, but living among them. That dream seemed impossible, but every step I've taken, every failure, every moment of doubt has been part of building that reality. Your silence is like that. It's not the end of your story, it's the moment when you're designing the next chapter. You're not just a woman who loves, you're a woman who's capable of building a life that's as vast as the universe itself. So, what do you do in this silence? You don't run from it, you don't apologize for it, you embrace it. You use it to ask the big questions. Who am I? What do I want? How do I build a life that's true to me? When we built the first Starship, we didn't just slap some metal together and hope for the best. We designed, tested, iterated, failed, and tried again. Your silence is your design phase. It's where you get to test your limits, iterate on your dreams, and build a version of yourself that's ready for the next big leap, whether that's love, a new career, or a life you haven't even imagined yet. Here's the truth. You're not just capable of love. You're capable of a love so big it could light up the sky. You're capable of a life so bold it could change the world. Your silence isn't a step back, it's a step towards something greater. It's the moment when you're gathering the fuel, checking the systems, and preparing for a launch that will take you to places you never thought possible. We're not done yet. We're going to keep pushing, exploring how you can turn this silence into a launch pad, how you can take this love and make it part of a life that's unapologetically yours. Because you ladies are here to build empires, to love fiercely, and to live without limits. Let's keep going. Ladies, we've walked through the silence, unpacked the fear, and seen the power it holds. Now it's time to take the next step to move through that fear and claim the life you're meant to live. Love, the kind that shakes your core and makes you question everything, isn't just a feeling. It's a call to action, a challenge to step up, to be bigger than your doubts, and to build something extraordinary. This isn't about playing it safe or staying in your comfort zone. This is about living as big as you deserve, loving as fiercely as you're capable of, and refusing to let fear hold you back. We're not here to build a small life. We're here to launch into a universe of possibility, to create something that echoes across galaxies. Let's talk about how you overcome the fear of love and step into a life that's bold, unapologetic, and unmistakably yours. I've faced fear more times than I can count. Not the kind of fear you get from a jump scare, but the kind that sits in your gut like a 10-ton weight, whispering that you're not enough, that you'll fail, that the whole world will see you crash and burn. When we were building the first Falcon 9, we had a launch that went wrong, catastrophically wrong. The rocket exploded, taking millions of dollars and years of work with it. I remember standing there, watching the flames, feeling the weight of every skeptic who'd said we'd never make it. The fear wasn't just about losing a rocket, it was about losing the dream of making humanity a spacefaring civilization. But I didn't let that fear stop me. I looked at the wreckage, learned from it, and went back to the drawing board. That's what you do with fear. You don't let it define you. You use it to fuel your next move. Love, ladies, is no different. It's a high stakes mission, and the fear you feel, the fear that makes you go silent, that makes you pull back, isn't a sign to quit. It's a sign you're playing for something worth having. When you love someone so deeply, it scares you. It's not just about them, it's about you. It's about the version of yourself you're becoming, the risks you're willing to take, the life you're ready to build. That fear is telling you that this love could change everything, not just your heart, but your entire trajectory. And that's why you can't let it stop you. You're not here to love small. You're here to love like you're launching a rocket to Mars, like you're building a future that no one else can imagine. So, how do you overcome that fear? First, you face it head on. You don't ignore it or pretend it's not there. You look at it like I looked at the data from that failed launch. What's driving your fear? Is it the thought of getting hurt again? The idea that you might lose yourself in this love, the worry that he's not who you hope he is. Break it down, analyze it. When we were trying to land the Falcon 9 boosters, we didn't just hope they'd stick the system, the landing. We kept failing, and every failure was a lesson. You're not going to get it right the first time, but you've got to keep trying. That's what you do with fear. You keep moving forward, learning, adapting until you nail it. Ladies, your fear of love is like that failed landing. It's not a dead end, it's feedback. Maybe you're scared because you've been hurt before, and that's real. But don't let that pain be the end of your story. Use it. Let it teach you what you need to know about yourself, your strength, your boundaries, your dreams. When you go silent, you're not failing. You're processing, you're learning, you're getting ready for the next attempt. And every time you face that fear, you get stronger, smarter, closer to the love and life you deserve. Here's the thing, overcoming fear doesn't mean you stop feeling it, it means you act anyway. When I started Tesla, the auto industry laughed. They said electric cars would never compete with gas. The fear of failure was real billions of dollars, thousands of jobs, and a vision for a sustainable future were on the line. But I didn't wait for the fear to go away. I moved through it. I built. I failed. I built again. And that's what you need to do with love. You don't wait for the fear to disappear. You take a step, then another, then another. You let yourself feel the love, the vulnerability, the risk, and you keep going. To the men out there, listen up. When she's silent, when she's pulling back, it's not your cue to chase her down or demand answers. It's your moment to show up as a partner in her mission. Be the guy who's steady, who's building his own dreams, who doesn't need to control her to feel secure, because a woman who's working through her fear doesn't need pressures, needs a teammate, someone who respects her process, who trusts her strength, and who's there when she's ready to launch. That's the kind of man who doesn't just win her heart, they earns her trust. Ladies, let's talk about what's on the other side of this fear. It's not just love, it's a life that's bigger than you ever imagined. When you move through the fear, you're not just opening your heart to someone else, you're opening your life to new possibilities. You're saying yes to a version of yourself that's fearless, unstoppable, and ready to build something extraordinary. When we landed the first Falcon 9 booster, it wasn't just a win for SpaceX, it was proof that we could do what everyone said was impossible. Your love, your courage, your willingness to step through the fear, it's proof that you're capable of the impossible. So, what's the first step? Start small, but start now. Maybe it's admitting to yourself that you're scared. Maybe it's writing down what you want from this love, this life. Maybe it's having a conversation with him, not to fix things, but to be real. When we started Neuralink, we didn't have all the answers. We just had a vision, connect the human brain to machines. It was terrifying, uncharted territory. But we took the first step, then the next, and now we're closer than ever. Your love is like that. You don't need to know the whole path. You just need to take the first step. And don't let the fear of failure stop you. Failure isn't the end, it's data. When SpaceX rockets blew up, we didn't quit. We analyzed, rebuilt, relaunched. If you open your heart and get hurt, it's not the end. It's a lesson. It's fuel for your next launch. And every time you try, you get closer to a love that's as big as your dreams, a life that's as vast as the universe. You're not here to play it safe. You're here to love like you're building a new world, to live like you're reaching for the stars. We're not done yet. We're going to talk about how you take this courage, this fire, and turn it into a life that's yours fully, fiercely, unapologetically. Because you, ladies, are not here to stay silent. You're here to launch, to love, to live without limits. Let's keep pushing forward. Ladies, we've traveled a long way together. We've stared down the silence that comes when love hits you like a meteor, unpacked the fear that makes you pull back, harnessed the power of that quiet to redefine who you are, and found the courage to move through it all. Now, we're at the final frontier, not just of this talk, but of your journey. This is about more than love. It's about becoming the leader of your own life, the captain of your own mission, the architect of a future so bold it could light up the cosmos. Your silence, your fear, your love, they're not obstacles. They're the raw materials for building a life that's unapologetically yours. You're not here to play small, to shrink from the risks, or to let doubt define you. You're here to launch into a universe of your own making, to love fiercely, to live without limits, and to lead with a fire that no one can extinguish. Let's close this out with a vision for what's possible when you step fully into your power. Let me tell you something about leadership. When I started SpaceX, I wasn't just building rockets, I was building a future where humanity could thrive beyond Earth. It wasn't about me, it was about a mission bigger than any one person. But to make it happen, I had to lead, not just my team, but myself. I had to decide who I was going to be in the face of failure, doubt, and impossible odds. There were moments when I wanted to walk away, when the money was gone, the rockets were failing, and the world was betting against us. But I didn't, because leadership isn't about never feeling fear or doubt. It's about choosing to move forward, to define your path, to say, this is my mission and I'm going to make it happen. That's what I want for you, ladies. Your silence, your fear, your love, they're part of your mission. And it's time to lead. What does it mean to lead your own life? It means taking ownership of your heart, your choices, your dreams. It means refusing to let fear or anyone else dictate your path. When you go silent in love, it's not a sign you're lost. It's a sign you're at a crossroads, deciding who you're going to be. Are you going to be the woman who hides from love because it's scary? Or are you going to be the woman who steps into it, knowing it's a risk, knowing it might hurt, but knowing it's worth it because it's part of a bigger mission in your life? I've taken risks that seemed insane, betting everything on Tesla, pushing Neuralink into uncharted territory, digging tunnels with the Boring Company when everyone said it was a waste of time. But every risk was a step toward a bigger vision. Your love, your silence, your fear, they're steps toward your vision too. So let's talk about that vision. What does it look like when you lead your own life? It's a life where you love without apology, where you're not afraid to be vulnerable because you know your strength doesn't come from being untouchable, it comes from being real. It's a life where you chase your dreams with the same fire you bring to love, whether that's building a career, creating art, or changing the world in your own way. It's a life where you don't let the fear of getting hurt keep you from building something extraordinary with someone else. When we launched Starship, it wasn't just about getting to orbit, it was about proving we could go further to Mars and beyond. Your love, your life, it's not just about this moment or this person. It's about going further, building a future that's as big as your heart. To the men listening, here's your role in this. When she's silent, when she's working through her fear, your job isn't to fix her or push her, it's to lead your own life with the same fire. Be the man who's building something, your own mission, your own dreams. Show her you're not shaken by her silence, not because you don't care, but because you respect her journey. A true leader doesn't demand loyalty, inspires it. Be the kind of man who inspires her to step out of her silence, not by chasing her, but by being someone she can trust to share the journey. Ladies, this is your moment. Your silence isn't a dead end, it's a launch pad. It's the moment when you decide what kind of leader you're going to be. Are you going to let fear steer the ship, or are you going to take the controls and chart your own course? When I look at the future, I see a world where we're not just surviving, we're thriving, exploring, creating. I see a world where every single one of you, are leading lives that are bold, fearless, and true to who you are. Your love, your silence, your fear, they're not weaknesses. They're the fuel for your mission. They're the spark that ignites the rocket of your life. So, what's the next step? It's simple, but it's not easy. Start leading now. Don't wait for the fear to go away or the silence to break. Take one step today. Maybe it's telling him how you feel, not to get an answer, but to own your truth. Maybe it's writing down your vision for your life, not just in love, but in everything you want to achieve. Maybe it's deciding that you're done